Welcome to the Trust Factor Podcast, the only podcast that guarantees your success when you implement its divine age-old teachings. Good morning, everybody. It's another week. It's Monday. It's a special week because it's Purim. Tonight is Purim, and it goes into tomorrow as well. So if you haven't got plans for Purim, make some. It is a spectacular holiday. It is fun, not just for the kids, but for the adults as well. It's time to let loose. It's time to look back at all of the quote-unquote coincidences in our lives and be grateful to recognize that there is a loving hand behind every single one of them. I talked to you yesterday about Purim and all the series, and I only scratched the surface of the series of coincidences, again, air quotes, that occurred throughout the Megillah. It was really Hashem's hand behind absolutely everything. And the same can be implied throughout Jewish history. There is a movie, if you get a chance to watch it, called Exodus Decoded by, his name is Sasha, and I can't remember his last name. He used to be a Toronto Jew who went to Israel. He did a wonderful movie with James Cameron, director of the Titanic, and it's called Exodus Decoded. And really, that's exactly what it's about also. It's highly recommended. But basically, they walk through the entire exodus of Egypt, from the Jews being slaves and the open miracles, the 10 plagues, and then their actual leaving and the timing of the leaving and the splitting of the sea and what caused that and the water turning to blood and the dying of the firstborns. He addresses absolutely everything, and he does it in a wonderful way that speaks exactly to this also. At the end of the movie, you're given a choice. Are you going to run with it all being happenstance and coincidence, or are you going to see the hand of God behind every single one of these occurrences? So if you haven't seen it, Exodus Decoded, Sasha, I can't remember his last name, but very, very well done with James Cameron. But the usual suspects are at it. They're still at it, my friends. The same people who stepped up and made all that noise when the Gaza war was going on, fighting and screaming bloody murder at Israel. Israel could do no right. Everything that they did was wrong, and all the negativity they attributed to Israel and all the positivity and all the credit was given to Hamas and to the Palestinians. Those very same people, you know them, the usual suspects, Candace Owens, Tucker Carlson's, the Piers Morgans, all the people who are on the quote-unquote alt-right, whatever you want to label them. It's just people who have sold their souls to the devil. They know wrong from right. They know it. Believe me, they know it. Everybody knows it. The stupidest people in the world know about the 10 Commandments. If you live in Western societies, you know that there are certain rules, even if you don't know that they're the 10 Commandments. You know that you don't kill. You know that you don't cheat. You know that you don't lie. You know that you don't steal. You know that you don't have illicit relations. Those are all things that even laws have been created. Regular civil laws have been created to make sure that we maintain these things because they are not good for humanity. And so if the dumbest people in the world know this, then you can be assured that people who are a lot smarter than the average person, like a Tucker Carlson or a Piers Morgan or all these different people, you know, their names, I just try to erase them from my head, keep hearing them too much and giving them too much credit. But they are smarter than the average person. So you know that they know the difference between right and wrong. And the reason I'm telling you this is that so you understand that what they're saying, all of the hatred that they spew out attacking Israel and now attacking the U.S., who's on the same page of Israel, is all just for show. Don't believe what you're hearing. Yes, there's anti-Semitism. Yes, people hate the Jews. Yes, people want controversy. But at the end of the day, it's all just for show because everybody knows who Iran is. Everybody knows what they've done in the past and what they're capable of and how warped their vision of reality is, and that had given the opportunity, they would destroy all of their neighbors. Look, just now, they're shooting missiles at Gulf states. They're supposed to be their friends. They're waking their friends even. They're kicking and screaming and they're dropping bombs on their neighbors. They're just a wretched, wretched people. And the Tucker Carlsons of the world, they know this. They know this. So why would they defend them? One answer only. Because they're getting paid. It's a popular position. It's one that gets people to tune in. They want to hear the counter narrative. They want to hear the person with the conspiracy theory. A lot of people don't even believe that people could hold these kinds of views. And sometimes people tune in just to hear the craziness. So my friends, recognize that the words that come out of these people's mouths, they call themselves influencers. They're not. The world sees through their smoke mirror. That's why at the end of the day, truth always wins and evil always loses. It always falls. You see that. The U.S. pays these people no mind. When we know what needs to get done, good people get the job done. It doesn't matter how much kicking and screaming these little children do to try and get attention and to try and make money and ride this opportunity. In politics, there's a saying, you never let a good crisis go to waste. They look for opportunities like this. What's more of a crisis than a state of war? To be able to drum up all kinds of hatred and conspiracy and muddy the waters and make things unclear and ask all kinds of questions that are completely irrelevant, because all it does is get them attention. Pay no attention, my friends. Remember who's running the show. Good will always prevail over evil. Now, easy for us to say. We're sitting over here. For most of us, we're in Canada, we're in America, we're not in Israel. But that doesn't mean it's easy, because I have children. I have a daughter in Israel. I have family, lots of family in Israel. And so we have to make sure that we've got our finger on the pulse, that we're in touch with them regularly. But at the end of the day, we know who runs the show. We know that destiny is determined by our Creator. You don't have to be 120 years old to pass away from this world. Death is a part of life. It's here for every single one of us. There are people who will die at a very, very young age from a tragic terminal illness. And the same young people will also die from rockets falling out of the sky and everything in between. And there will be 80-year-olds the same, who will die from rockets falling on their head, who've survived holocausts. That's how it works, my friends. We don't know, but what we do know is that death is a part of life. It was given to us by the same Creator. The same loving Creator that brings life into this world takes life out of this world. Why? Because this world is a temporary existence. It is a mission-driven destination. We come over here to achieve our goals, to be able to have successes, very few failures, hopefully, more successes than failures. And then we take those successes and we apply them in the next world, in the permanent world. That's the whole purpose of this world. It's temporary. Once you remember that, once you incorporate that into your mind, then your life becomes exponentially easier. And it helped me. I remember early on in my observance, a lot of things that fascinated me were concepts of life after life. Listening to my rabbi, a lot of his lectures revolved around that as well. And it's for good reason. The reason people have to understand and be comfortable with this concept of death is because it's the number one fear in the world. It's the number one. Even if you don't walk around all day long thinking that you fear death, you better believe that you do on some level. We've been conditioned by society. We walk around thinking that we've already got cancer, that it's been inside of us for so long that it's just a matter of time and we're ticking time bombs. Everybody's just waiting, taking all kinds of supplements and all types of vitamins and all types of different things and going to the doctor on a regular basis, and the smallest thing sets us off, and every small palpitation, suddenly we start worrying, sweating. What's going on? Something's changed. I'm not the same. Am I dying? Is this it? Are my days? That's how people are walking around. They may not realize it, but the whole world is terrified just of a word, cancer. Never mind the fact that people survive it all day long. There's very, very powerful treatments, and they're only getting better by the minute. And people are living with it very long, normal lives, or conquering it entirely. That's not part of the conversation. Conversation is always, let's raise more money. How do you raise the most amount of money? By making sure that it's a word that scares everybody. And when they hear it, all they want to do is dig deep and pull out as much money as possible. So relax. Remember, there is a God that runs this world. If you're interested, look online. My rabbi has plenty of lectures, Rabbi Mizrahi, on life after life. And he talks about what awaits us. And it talks about the beauty of the next world, the purpose behind the next world, and the temporary nature of this world. It eases your desire to have control over the outcomes. When you don't fear death, when that number one fear that terrifies humanity doesn't budge you because you've moved past it. How do you move past it? By understanding it. When you've learned about death and dying, you now understand it. You then conquer it. It no longer scares you. Nothing can move you. Nothing phases you. If the number one fear in the world doesn't faze you, then everything below that is secondary and tertiary. It doesn't even show up. It doesn't have any effect. You understand? So I would encourage you to look online. Look for these types of lectures, life after life, life after death, given by qualified rabbis who give you examples from the Gemara that talks about what's waiting for you, and you will understand that there is a system that you can plug into that will make sense of all of it, not just life, but of death. And once you no longer feel death, everything becomes so much lighter, so much easier. I got a message from, again, of a YouTube follower who's very active and asks great questions. It's a similar concept. He asked, how do you make decisions when you're inside a storm? That's the whole idea. You got to get out of the storm. But society, secularism knows that when you're in a storm, you're going to make bad choices. And so you're not going to be empowered. So they create the fog. They create the storm. The whole idea is to get out of that storm. How do you get out of that storm? The storm is fear. It's not a real storm. It's a storm of fear, of emotions. Your head is running a mile a minute because you're thinking of all the people that are coming at you or all the circumstances you need to deal with. And it's overwhelming. So it creates a storm in your mind. Stop and recognize what's the worst thing in the world that can happen. I don't fear death. If I don't fear death, then the tax man's going to scare me. Then the doctor's going to scare me. Then a judge or a lawyer is going to scare me. A police officer. None of these people frighten me. Why? Because I know who controls the world. And I know who created life and I know who created death. And he's the same one who controls all of these individuals in every single situation. So what am I nervous about? The answer is nothing. Nothing scares me. And then when you're in that position, when you've been able to calm your mind, that's your standard. That's your default, is calmness of the mind and happiness. Then, and only then, can you make good decisions. As long as you remain in a state of emotional fear, panic, sadness, depression, you simply cannot get clarity and make good choices for yourself. So tomorrow, my friends, we're going to talk about not just the tribulations, but we're also going to talk about the idea of repenting, the idea of self-assessment. That's what repenting is. I'm going to self-assess. Then I'm going to repent. I need to make what I did wrong right again. And I'm going to go into it. The book's going to get into painstaking detail about issues that we have problems between ourselves and our fellow men and between ourselves and our Creator. It's going to get into the detail of how you fix your mistakes, because we all make them. We're all human. We're going to err, but we need to know how to fix them. If we don't know how to fix them, then it's a non-starter. Because we know how to make mistakes, but we need to know also how to repair those mistakes to make them right again so that they don't hold us back. Because as long as you haven't fixed, then you can't move forward. And if you do move forward, it's deficient. That's tomorrow, my friends. Thank you for listening. Let's all keep Israel in our minds, and let's hope that this war comes to a quick and decisive end. Have an amazing day. Thank you for spending time with us on the Trust Factor podcast. If you've heard something today that moved you, save this episode and share it with someone who might need to hear it. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss upcoming conversations that challenge, empower, and uplift. And if you're on social media, connect with us. Leave your thoughts. Drop a quote that resonated with you. Hashtag the Trust Factor podcast. Until next time, keep growing in your trust and keep living with purpose. I'm Jesse Revivo, and this has been the Trust Factor Podcast. Thanks for listening.